Hello everyone. Been a while since I did a video again. Quite a bit of new stuff to talk about. So first of all, we moved the trailer. It's back out at my dad's place. Moved quite well. Everything seemed to stay where it was supposed to be. I don't think anything shifted on the move. It actually towed pretty good. So you can see we're back to some different surroundings than previously. On the inside here, I've been working on the wiring quite a bit. I have a friend who's going to help me. He's an electrician, or he has been helping me already. But I may have to change some of the wiring. I've been doing a little bit of research. This house has both a AC and DC system. We're going to run it off of a battery bank with an inverter. And I think this year we'll probably just be plugged into the grid, but at some point we want to get some solar panels and also a generator to run off of. But we're still going to install the batteries this year and get used to running them and getting used to the system. So as you can see, we use that 2x4 wall. We're kind of using it for double duty. Got a breaker box and a junction box in there, and there's actually going to be a closet on this side of the wall here, so we'll be able to reach into the closet, and the breakers will be there, and we can clean the closet out and have access to the wiring and whatnot if we need to make some changes. Now, we did make some accommodation for some of our lines here. For example, the overhead lights, we're going to have I believe I've got two overhead lights here. These, the way that we've wired them, they can be both AC or DC. I found some bulbs, some 12-volt DC bulbs that are medium base bulbs, like the regular standard screw-in bulbs, but they're made for 12-volt DC, so I can basically use any fixture I want but still run DC power. And I have pretty much decided that we're going to run all of our lighting on 12-volt DC, but if at some point if we're plugged into the grid long term, we want to go to AC lighting. We've made some accommodation for that. With the junction box down there, we're basically going to be able to move wires from AC to DC, and probably something we'll have to keep really good track of. Obviously, you don't want to cross lines or cause a fire or anything, but we're going to be able to basically switch certain lines over and run things the way that we need to. So we're not going to hardwire it in and then be upset with the way that we've done the system. We're going to leave it where we can adapt it to our our lifestyle and how we want to run the house. So that's what I'm working on now. And with the DC lighting and some of the other stuff, I may need to actually increase the gauge of some of these wires. I think I had originally, when I did some research, heard someone say that you could just go with the regular 12 gauge wire for your DC system because the run wasn't very long, but that may not completely be true. I'm doing some research on it, so I may have to up the gauge on a few of our lines, but that's not going to be too big of a deal because I've got everything kind of marked, and you can see I've got everything labeled here as to what it is, so it's going to be not too hard to change a few lines. But basically, a lot of our appliances are RV appliances, and they run on DC. So for example, our furnace, hot water tank, water pump, they're all going to be 12-volt DC, and our lighting is also 12-volt DC. So that's why we're going with a dual system. You can also see I've done a little bit of work on the insulation. Right now I'm just insulating wherever the wiring isn't, I guess would be the way of putting it. So kind of places where we're not running any wiring, I'm going to insulate, and then when my friend comes back out, the electrician, we're going to finish the wiring. Of course, by then I should know if I need to change any of the wires out or anything. Last time I had talked about the raised floor. I haven't installed it yet. That's actually going to go in after the insulating, after the vapor barrier, then I'm going to put the floor in. So right now I just kind of have to work as if it's going in. So I'll probably at the end there, back over by the bathroom, we'll have a battery bank. Also did a little bit of research on batteries. And most likely I'm going to go with some large 30 or 31 size AGM batteries. AGM batteries, they don't off gas at all. You don't have to worry about adding distilled water or fluid levels. They can be put on their side or upside down. You can mount them any way you want. They tend to be able to go through more charge and discharge cycles than regular flooded lead acid batteries. You know, there may be some exceptions. I know golf cart batteries can be charged and discharged quite a bit, but a lot of these AGMs even perform, you know, as well or better than a golf cart battery when it comes to charging and discharging. So I think for ease of use, maintenance, and then not having to worry about any issues with off-gassing or you know, overcharging or anything like that, I'm just going to go with the AGMs. They seem to be pretty hassle-free. And you know, I've heard differing opinions on the batteries. I've heard some people say that you don't really even need to worry about the off-gassing on the batteries, that it's so minimal you don't even need to worry about it. But you know, what really made my decision for the AGMs was just not having to worry about maintenance. You know, I don't have to check the fluid levels in them. I don't have to add distilled water. Once they're set up, I just, you know, run my system, make sure I don't discharge, you know, too deep all the time, and they should be good for years. So that's kind of my style. You know, I want it to be hassle-free. I don't want everything to be a total hassle just because I'm building a tiny house that can, you know, potentially go off the grid. Which I think a lot of tiny houses, they have got good designs, but you know, you are limiting yourself if you know, run them to only have AC to be plugged into the grid. You're limiting your location. And one of our big drivers for building the tiny house was being able to pretty much put it anywhere and live out of it. So if we go buy land that you know, isn't on the electrical grid or whatever, we can just pull up and we're good to go. We're ready to go. So I've been doing some calculating. I'll talk more about the electrical system as we progress, as it installs, but you know, I've been doing calculating with amp hours and everything, and so pretty soon I should have a better idea of how many batteries we're going to need, how many amp hours we're going to run on a regular day, things like that. One thing I do know is that if we were off-grid, we're actually planning on having a RV washer dryer. It's like a combo. It's one unit. And we're actually going to have that in the bathroom. So we'll actually have a washer dryer in here. Basically, this house, even though it's small, is going to have every convenience that a larger house has, more or less. And that runs on you know, 110, 120 volt regular AC power. And we'll probably that's probably the exception when it comes to our electrical use for having a large draw. Everything else is either going to be propane or is very efficient, like our DC lighting. So that being the exception, what we'll probably do is just turn the generator on every time we decide to run the washer dryer, and the excess power generated by the generator while the washer dryer's on will also top up our batteries. So that's kind of going to be our strategy. So you know, 3 times a week or 4 times a week when we do laundry, we'll just throw the generator on for, you know, 3 hours or 4 hours while it cycles. So that'll be it for today. Hope you're getting some good ideas for your tiny houses, and I think you'll really enjoy as we progress in this build how it comes out, because it's starting to come along pretty good here. Alright, take care everyone, bye.